Henry Cavill may be in, Henry Cavill may be out. Superman may be no longer with us right now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's DC Movie News.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
And we stand for truth, justice, and the American way with our mustachios. Welcome, everyone. This is the DC Movie News Show on the Popcorn Talk Network. Oh boy, what a week. What a couple of days it's been, everyone.
More importantly, you know what's really hard to do?
Eat a milk dud with a mustache.
Yes. I can't, my lip, this feels like Botox. I can't close my mouth and chew my milk
know,
dud.
sister.
Bo Rocks.
The mustache, that looks like a permanent mustache on you, as a matter of fact.
It feels
Mine's
like a
falling
permanent
off.
mustache. Mine is not falling off. Mine would stay for years. And by the way, for you iTunes listeners, we're all wearing mustaches in honor of Henry.
Our show doesn't have enough money to CGI them out, so.
Oh boy, we're keeping the mustaches. What's up, everybody? We're at DC Movies SK on Twitter, Facebook.com/DC Movies SK. Look, this is going to be a very interesting episode. Fans are divided, fans are angry, fans are sad. Some fans are like, whatever, I've given up already. So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to keep it as positive as we can possibly keep it. Mike Kalinowski's going to throw up something on his YouTube page over the next couple of days. He said he has a lot to talk about and a lot to say. So, yeah, we'll just be on the lookout for that. But with that said, Jonny LoQuasto here at JQuasto. The man over there wearing a rather salt and peppery mustache.
I mean,
An
it's
agent.
kind of what I'm working with anyway, so I think it works.
Indeed. Well, you just saw him on Kitchen Comeback. He won that damn thing. Then he was on Next Food Network Star. He's the Verse Mocker for Doghouse Restaurants. Find him at Adam Gertler. He's Adam Gertler.
It's Comeback
Hey.
Kitchen, right?
It's Comeback Kitchen, yes. It's
What'd I
okay.
say?
Kitchen Comeback.
Kitchen Comeback. What?
That's
It's
like when your kitchen runs away.
Same.
Kitchen
Come back! Is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it.
Kitchen come back to me.
Well,
In my heart, I still believe.
Yeah.
yeah, man. So
can't
good to
even
be
smile.
here. Just
Yep.
got my hands out of an armful of sausage.
Fair enough.
And
As you
just
do.
came back from being in the
What
Carolinas.
does that look like?
It's messy. It's a long, messy process. But yeah, man, some exciting things, sort of ish. Not so much.
A great comment from Senor Nerd. Okay, I know why with the mustache is doing it in honor of Henry Cavill, but I am not in the mood. I'm sorry, bro. We're trying to have a good time.
Just trying to have a good time. By the
No,
way,
I get it. I get
this chat we're referring to, if you guys ever want to join us live on YouTube on the Popcorn Talk Network, we go live every Friday at 1 p.m. ish, Pacific Standard Time. Ooh, Pacific Standard
Pacific
is nice.
Standard.
Specifically,
It's-
Pacific Standard.
Nobody else is struggling with their stash.
Mine's
Like,
falling off 100%.
Articulation.
It's
Mine
not gonna
feels
last
great
long.
and natural, and I think kind of looks believable. from
And I'll
what
be
I can
honest,
see.
I like it.
I've worn a lot of fake mustaches in my day, so I kind of get used to it.
just like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
You'd live once.
I like
you know,
it.
Wear a mustache.
I'm not in the mood.
I'm sorry. Well, next to me, she is in the mood. I don't know what that means. She hosts panels at Comic-Cons all across the country. She's doing the Hawaii one that got postponed to February, and she has many other things coming up. Find her at Elena Jordan. She's Elena Jordan.
Hey, that's me. I'm Elena Jordan.
Yeah, that's right. And the crown jewel with the permanent mustache who's having a difficult time eating a milk dud and communicating with said mustache. You know her, you love her. She's at Roxy Striar. Find her on Collider Live and many other things. She's Roxy Striar.
That is so true about me, sir.
Yes.
It's very, very true.
Ooh, that's disturbing.
You kind of look like those girls on the show Legion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? They all had the bob and the mustache.
You
and
wanna
it was
know
like,
what?
there's a hot girl, but with a mustache. It was the most confusing thing to look at.
My
And they all spoke and they spoke.
Yes. My favorite thing about, I just was in Vegas for this whole Bohemian Rhapsody thing, and in the front row of the Queen concert, there was like 10 70-plus-year-old women all in Freddie mustaches. And it was like
yes,
just pretty
that's
awesome
awesome.
looking. So I feel like them.
Did you see a little silhouette of a man?
I did.
Nice.
Did you like what you saw of that movie?
I saw 40 minutes of it and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
But
I
I
got
don't
to see
know.
the whole thing actually.
Wow.
I liked it a lot.
That's
Well,
awesome. I'm
yeah.
jealous.
As much as that would be fun to talk
The
about,
CGI was unfinished.
we need to talk about another movie as well as a movie character. So, Henry Cavill, Superman, you talk about polarizing right now, and then it just comes out this morning. another strong rumor. So let's just start from the top and we'll work our way down because there's not a lot of other news. A lot of TV news, a lot of DC Universe. They went live last night as a surprise to all the subscribers. There's stuff about Cyborg, stuff about Flash, but right now we got into Superman and Cavill.
Wait, you have to pause so I can make my joke.
Okay.
Oh.
That's what she said.
Wait, that's you can't just
Start
back
at
out of the
start
moment's
at the
gone.
top
It's gone.
and make our way down.
Oh! Good job.
You went too quickly and then it just like got
That's what she
past
said.
me.
That's definitely what she
There you
said.
go.
That's
There you go, Lena.
Yeah, you're just gonna jump in.
what she said a lot.
I couldn't.
So the articles that dropped a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, I don't really recall.
What is time, really?
What is time? It's all linear.
It's all relative.
Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. The Hollywood Reporter saying it. A lot of well-respected media outlets have been saying this, that he is completely out, resulting, it was a contract dispute, I guess. We all talked about in the past, his last contracted appearance was possibly going to be Shazam, and the rumors were
cameo.
that... A cameo.
Yeah.
And the rumors were that he wanted a longer contract, he wanted Man of Steel. Then, of course, we heard the rumors that he didn't like the Zack Sneider vision of Superman because he was conflicted, and Henry doesn't want to have Superman conflicted. So there's a lot of things. So, Adam, I'm going to go to you because you're wearing the Superman shirt. Where do you stand on all of this?
Well, I'm going to open up with comments by DC Uber fan Matthew Zavala.
Okay.
Some of you might know him as
I can't
formerly...
believe he gets the first say on our show.
Well, because I think listen, if anything, he's a big fan and he has a lot to say, so I want to see that he's quoted, and I've asked him to comment, so please, this is fan Matthew Zavala. Okay. First, I'm just sick of Roxy because she's just pathetic DCEU hater.
Wow.
And if her and others don't like the DCEU movies, then don't watch these movies, but don't ruin it for other people who like and want to keep seeing these movies and who cares about garbage MCU and Kevin Feige bullshit. Then we get into the Superman
I know
stuff.
who that guy is now.
Yeah.
He trolls our Facebook page.
No, he's not a troll. He's a fan. He's a fan.
No, he's a troll.
You've met? No, I disagree. You probably
he's
heard
sick
the
of me,
rumor
guys.
of Michael B. Jordan being Superman because Henry Cavill could still be Superman for the DCU movies, but we could see Michael B. Jordan either as Kevin Ellis from the Superman Earth 23, or he could be Val-Zod, the Superman from Earth 2 in Elseworlds DC movie. I think Henry Cavill is still going to be Superman in future DCU movies, but right now they want to focus on Supergirl. DCU movies caused the one that crashed the Kryptonian scout ship in Man of Steel thousands of years ago is probably frozen in ice, similar to Captain America and the Man of Steel prequel comic. Kara Zor-El is Superman's ancestor, not cousin, and DC has great female characters. They could make lots of solo movies of other characters.
All I'm saying is, thank God I'm not doing that voice with this mustache.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
So
Is this guy Schwarzenegger's nephew?
I don't
Yeah.
know. His voice always changes during
No,
the thing, so as not to offend
I have
anyone.
had to just stop paying attention to him because he hates and he's miserable.
Let's
But
take
he's
a quick,
knowledgeable.
Let's take a
No,
quick poll.
I don't care if
Do you
he's
think?
knowledgeable.
Let's take a quick poll. Do you think if I make out with his face, then he'll leave me alone? Because I'll do it.
He just thinks you're. I think you should make out with his face.
All right, I'll do it, man. If you just, if
I'm
you, if
fairly
you just
certain
chill.
he's never had a kiss in his life. So anyway,
Here's the deal with all of the things that you said. Moving on from our dear friend
Matthew Zavala.
Matthew Zavala.
Yeah.
Uber fan.
There's so much going on and so much to unpack. So what I want to be clear with you guys at home about is the fact that we don't know more than you know.
Sure.
And we don't know much.
and we're gonna do our
So
best.
that means that it is unclear currently whether Henry Cavill is or is not playing Superman anymore. It is unclear currently whether or not there are plans for a Superman film right at this time. So we don't know those things. All we can talk about is what's being reported on.
Zeno Hour calls it out right here, which is very much, I think, what you're saying is the problem is they're not currently developing a new
Right.
Superman movie, so there's really no incentives to get a deal with Cavill done.
And
Especially after
therein-
announcing a Supergirl film
Yeah.
in which they're saying Henry Cavill would not be able to be involved because of his age.
And therein lies the issue that Cavill may or may not have had with WB and everything, saying, I want a deal, I'm going to maybe leave. But now an article popped up this morning saying that it was all fake. It came from TMZ and Fandom Wire. So no one knows. And we get it.
TMZ, where I get all my
Yeah.
superhero news.
But wait, I just want to be clear. When you say fake, Okay, it doesn't mean that the story is completely fake. It just means that the idea of him being out is fake. But most people seem to be acknowledging the fact that the guy is obviously trying to negotiate something to get paid and get a Superman movie on the books. And WB is like, he's not fired. We're not getting rid of him. We're just not planning a Superman movie. And so we're not going to give this guy a $30 million contract and put a movie on the books because he's Henry Cavill. And we don't make a decision based on an actor saying, like, all right, I'm going to leave unless you give me another movie right about it.
I theorize, and this is complete speculation, but because he had one more movie on his contract, we talked about this before, because his manager is also a producer for Shazam, it would make sense that the initial idea would be to have that final contracted performance be in Shazam to then negotiate for more money for Man of Steel 2. That's when Man of Steel 2 was initially on the books. What seems to be is that was the initial plan, and then it kind of bit them in the ass because now that he's worth more after Mission Impossible and all of the success, and he's kind of being slated as a more monetized actor, I think you're completely right that they are basically saying it's not completely that you're out, it's that you're kind of on the back burner because they still have strong negotiations with his manager, who is still a DC producer, who is still presumably going to continue to produce for DC films as well. So I think that it basically was kind of a smart negotiation that, because of Supergirl being thrown into the mix, ended up kind of turning on its head. And so I think it's not necessarily that he's out. I think it's that for this foreseeable future, they're going to shelf it because he was asking for more money. I think that's the impetus.
I don't know whether I agree or disagree, but I've sensed for a long time, and previously talked about this on the show, reboot.
Oh, by the way,
I'm not saying I think they should. I'm saying that I'm sensing it.
It's been talked about. I mean, it's been rumored for a long time, and they've slowly been kind of just
rolling
dissecting things. They didn't want. It's not something that they would ever have announced, but they did say we're not focusing on DC extended universe movies. So you're not going to see as much of that continuity. So it shouldn't be a surprise that after a while we're hearing about a dismantling of that continuity. I'm curious, where did the Michael B. Jordan rumors come from now? Now, is that Warner Brothers negotiating in public, or is it...
Hey guys,
I think that's fans pushing more than anything.
Me too.
Get to this chat roll. Do you remember over the last couple of months, there's this Twitter account that basically leaks a lot of things and ends up becoming true?
That has a good chat.
Daniel RPK. Yeah. He's in our chat roll right now.
Oh, really?
Dropping a lot of things.
And you're saying out?
He's saying, no, Cavill is out final. Then he followed that up with... Girl of Steel to take place in the 70s. Brainiac is the villain. Riza Gonzalez, front runner for Black Canary. Dropping all this stuff.
Wow.
And then he goes, you don't want information? Bye. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't see your comment.
Whoa,
I'm trying to
come
host
back
the show.
to us. Hey, get that guy back in here.
He says Supergirl will be called Girl of Steel to be set in the 70s. Brainiac is the villain. Yeah, it's so he's saying Cavill's not completely. I don't know where he gets his information, but a lot of the stuff he has been tweeting, it's getting a lot of attention. And it does have some merit behind it. So. Oh boy!
I think that we're focusing it on a different direction, and here's the deal: we know we have Shazam, we know we have Aquaman, we know we have Wonder Woman 2, we know we have a Joker film, right? Those are the ones that we definitely know. We think we have a Birds of Prey, potentially Gotham City Sirens. We think we have a Suicide Squad 2. Those are all things that are on the burner right now, right? I think we get through Wonder Woman 2, and then they're like, okay, Gal's now been in 2 Wonder Woman movies, a BVS, and a Justice League. Like, we gave you guys a good dose of her. We know you guys all love her, but we can now lose her at that point. We do our soft reboot. We get a new Superman. We get a new Batman. We get a new Wonder Woman, which I'm not saying I'm in favor of. I'm just saying this is what I think is happening. Flash, I don't think people particularly attached on to anyway. And
you think the Flash movie is not happening?
I don't think. I think if they're
with the vacation directors,
if they're leading towards this soft reboot, I doubt that they're going to do a Flash movie prior to that, unless they decide that they want to do some kind of Flashpoint thing, not in that movie, but down the line, and that's how we get to that direction. I think that the DC needs to take a break. Not saying no movies, but they need to sit down and be like, what's going on? What is going on? If this is true, if there's no issues with Henry and he's still on and we're not actually doing the Supergirl thing and none of that, then fine. But
not to call back to Schwarzenegger, but right now with the Warner Brothers and everything, it just seems like it's the equivalent of when he walked into the room and all the kindergartners are running around making noise. That kind of seems like what it is. Just everyone's running in circles, and no one knows what the direction is. And look, we are the most positive people ever on this show. We're just calling it for what it looks like right now. We have to be honest. So for everyone who gets mad at us for not having 100% blind faith, sorry.
I do have faith, and I continue
I
to
don't think
watch.
most people think that way, Johnny, anymore. I mean, I'm looking at this chat roll. I'm not seeing a lot of people saying, like nothing is surprising the fans at this point. I think they've been so beaten with so many things. Like, I don't think anybody was surprised. I think the thing to ask is, why would they be okay with it? Why wouldn't WB say, like, no, he's our Superman, he's our God? Why is the film
hardball
not... But why is the Superman film not a priority to the studio? That's the question.
It seems like with so many other, it's again speculation, but because it seems like with all of these other movies on the table and with a roster that is pages long of potential films with potential kind of more secondary characters that are then bringing in that then have, and this is kind of getting a little more deep into it, but now that WB is putting DC with also the entertainment and consumer products all under the same manager and the same point person. That's kind of a more push to create more memorabilia that's going to sell, that's DCEU specific, which will be more likely with secondary characters, unlike Superman, that you can get generic merchandising for. So if they're looking at overall marketing plans, and then you have a manager coming in who's also a producer on these films saying, my client now is done with his contract, he's demanding X million of dollars versus this significantly smaller number. I feel weird saying all this with all this mustache.
Right, that's okay.
But it seems like it is a scenario where they go, okay, well, if you're going to ask for that much money, we don't really need it because we have all of these other characters and we have all of these abilities to make money off of the merchandising. We're looking at it from a strictly financial perspective. I could see where people who aren't necessarily mega fans of the franchise who are put in these executive positions are saying this is a good call.
Do you think it's
with
because
all the
of
fan backlash?
Do you think it's because of the mixed reception to the films that Henry Cavill has appeared in?
I feel like it's partially that and partially because they're just saying, look, we're going to get Joaquin Phoenix to make a $55 million small budget movie that could then turn out and give us 4 times profit.
That's
going to
make a lot more than $55 million.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
If that's going to be the case, if we're going to be more financially receptive to things that are smaller budget initially, but because they're smaller characters, which then have the long run of more specific merchandising, then that is where I think the executive mentality lies. And those are the people, unfortunately, who are calling the shots. Whereas when you get huge fan backlash like this, that's when managers like Henry Cavill's are able to step in and say, okay, but look, this is going to hurt your franchise overall, which I think is why people are saying don't give up hope, which I think is why they're kind of saying don't give up hope. But I think it's a scenario where finances and ultimately the books are going to win.
This goes back to that article that came out last night / today, is that he's more or less negotiating through the press.
Can we check out the video that he did?
Yes.
Because this is a part of the news.
Instagram.
Yeah, so he put out this video. I heard that this was filmed prior to this coming out, though. So
so we don't know. Didn't it say like today was exciting and he put it up? Was that not?
Yeah, today was a big day for Superman, but I heard that it's... Well, let's just check it out and then we can discuss.
I mean...
So, for you guys who haven't seen this or listening, this is Henry Cavill right now, who is wearing a Krypton shirt, who keeps moving
Krypton lifting. It's like the Krypton lifting team.
Yeah.
And the Blue Danube is playing with these...
and he's moving an action figure up and down of himself, or of Superman.
I like the soundtrack, personally. I really like the soundtrack.
I mean...
He looks rather somber.
He does.
He definitely posted this 2 days
Mine
ago, so
is
whether it was filmed or not.
detective, so that we can get
Oh, look at
down
that.
to
You
the
got a
mystery.
mustache on that one, too.
Yeah, that was for the intro. You guys didn't see it.
I did.
not
I saw
see
it.
But she's a little Sherlock Holmes detective because we're going to figure it out.
I asked the chat whether he's in or whether he's out, and the chat seems very, very split. Some people think it's too early to tell. Some people say he's in. Some people say he's out. Some people say DC is a bunch of idiots because they lost their Superman. Some people say Henry Cavill is an idiot because he's somehow leaving Superman.
I'd like to ask you guys, let's go around the horn and just chime in on in or out. How do you feel about that? If he's out, are you happy about it, or do you think that they should move on?
Start with me.
Start with you. Go on.
I'd have to lean towards out.
You think he's out?
I think more stuff points to that than a publicity stunt, or because you can negotiate through the press. It doesn't mean that you're going to be out. But if they said to him, look, we have no interest in doing Superman anytime soon, he might just be like, well, then forget about my last appearance. Let's just call it.
So, good thing or bad thing?
A horrible thing. I think he's a fantastic Superman. I think he's a really good human being. I would like him to be Superman. And, if he does have issues with the fact that, Snyder's version of Superman was conflicted and he doesn't want that, then that's another issue right there. But no, I don't think it's a good thing at all. I think it was great.
Elena, in or out, good or bad?
I think ultimately he's out, but I think it's a scenario where Cavill and his manager think there's a potential that he could still be in with all of the fan backlash. And I think the reason that he's actually out is because they're pushing the actual character and they're focusing on secondary. So I think it's a situation where they say, hey, there's hope later on, but later on means like 4 or 5 years. So
he could come
ultimately, back. I think for the foreseeable future, out. And I think this is a horrible move. I think that they should definitely try to...
So you're not happy about it?
No, I'm livid, honestly. I'm pretty upset. Yeah, because this is the thing. Because I know that sometimes we do veer on the side of negative, as people say, and it's not necessarily negativity. It's if you have a team that you love so much and they are having a season that they're not playing well.
You're a Red Sox fan for most of the 20th century.
You're going to say they need to step up and they need to play a little harder.
Right.
And that's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm a Jets fan.
Exactly.
It's
like, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop wearing my jersey. It just means that I want my team to play harder and I want them to play smarter, and that's what's happening.
Roxy, what do you...
I think for the indefinite future, he is out as well. And I truthfully am not mad about it. I am not a massive Henry Cavill fan. I'm not saying that I don't.
She's saying it.
I'm not saying that I dislike him.
She said it.
But no, I didn't say that. I am not saying that I dislike him.
Not a massive fan.
But I'm.
When a girl says that to me, I'm not getting a second date. I've heard
no,
that
it's probably not a second date. I've seen him in a lot of his projects. I thought that he was the worst part of Mission Impossible. He, to me, looks exactly like Superman, but I don't think that what we've seen, and it's not just him, it's also the direction and the writing. But I didn't love. I hated Man of Steel. I really didn't like.
Strong.
I really didn't like his performance in BVS, and in Justice League, I was finally starting to see a Henry Cavill that I liked. So it's like, at least it was going in that direction. We were going towards something. But at the same time, I don't care for him particularly. Now, that being said, what I'm upset about is what this means for DC. Because
keep in mind, Affleck's already gone.
Well, we don't know that, but I don't mind us not having Henry Cavill. I mind the way that this came out, and I mind that DC doesn't have their ish together right now, because the fact that this came out as such a cluster F, where it was like the body wasn't even cold yet, and people were like, "But Michael B. Jordan," and it's like, what the actual F is going on? That's what I'm upset about.
That's when I got the most upset. Was I was like, "Don't recast this person right now."
I'm getting in the chat right now. Tara, Roxy, what's wrong with you? Broly, Roxy, I totally get it. I get where you guys are coming from. I love Ben Affleck. I'm a Ben Affleck girl. That one was a bigger hit to me. Henry Cavill, he's fine. He's not bad. He's just not, to me, amazing.
I would like to chime in, and then we should move on because we're like halfway through the show almost.
And also, Warner Brothers is more at fault, as always, in my opinion.
100%.
Okay, well, listen. Yeah, absolutely, because they're the ones who make the movies. My feelings are this. I do think he's probably out. I think it's another tremendous Superman tragedy. I thought Brendan Routh was good. I thought Henry Cavill certainly looked more like a Superman, but unfortunately, that Man of Steel is mixed. Some people love it, some people don't.
Right.
BVS is very derided. Justice League was a debacle. Even though we liked him in it, everything I liked about him is really hurt by the digital mustache and the whole haphazard. That film does not hold up. Like, it was fun at first, repeated viewings. Yeah, BVS definitely gets better with repeated viewings. I still don't love it, but Justice League worse. So, unfortunately, this guy looks great, was never in a great Superman movie, so what does WB have to gain by coming out with another Superman sequel? What's their guarantee that people are going to get excited and show up in droves for this film? And the proof isn't there, and that's why it makes sense. And they probably didn't mean for it to come out. It was probably more like Cavill Cavill's people saying like, "Hey, we need a deal. Shit or get off the pot," as my mom would say.
Sure.
And that's it. I don't think it was that they were preparing to make any announcement about it one way or another. And he's like, "Hey guys, over here, I've been the best cheerleader for you the whole time. I'm okay. Did you see Mission Impossible? Do you remember? People like me again now. Yes. Superman movie? No. Okay.
I just want a collection of all of the voices of Adam. Just on
Mike's
a
got
CD.
some good ones too.
Well, that pretty much covers Superman. Feel free to let us know on social media what your thoughts are.
Should we
but let's move
ceremoniously
on.
remove our mustaches?
Nope, leave
no,
mine
leave
on.
them. Mine's
Game of
falling off,
Thrones
so I'm
star
keeping
Kit
it.
Harington, apparently they're interested in using him for Batman. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I'm very vocal about it, so I don't know who the hell this dude is, but he looks hairy.
Elena
you
doesn't
don't know
hate
him
this
at all?
idea.
I love Kit Harington. I think he is amazing. I love him on Game of Thrones, even though he is kind of a little like MySpace, a little whiner of a character. But so is Batman.
But he's
so it
grown
works
into
out.
a great hero.
I think
He's great. He's amazing. He'd be perfect.
So I'm a massive Game of Thrones fan as well. I'm a huge Kit fan, and I'm a big Batman fan. So you would think that I would get really stoked about this.
But
I don't want to talk about who's playing Batman until I know who's not playing Batman.
Right, exactly.
I have such a hard time with this because, like, I love Ben Affleck, and until somebody looks at us and says he's out, I don't want to talk about who's playing Batman because we still have a Batman, like, in my eyes. So I'm just frustrated with this. Now, do I think this would be a good casting choice potentially? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think he would knock this out of the park. But I can't even get there mentally yet because it's like, DC, body's not even cold because you're not even dead yet.
I think the body is really
I think it's
cold.
been cold.
I
This
think
is
the
like-
body's really
I
cold.
think it's been chilling in that cave
It's
for
the same kind of
quite
thing.
some
Warner Brothers
time.
is like, what? Nothing over here. If we're not making an announcement, you can't say anybody's gun. We never said it. Never happened.
It's just like insane to me. It's like trying to negotiate like somebody's will and before they're dead, and like the awkwardness of it all. Like this is like how are it's
Where
just,
there's a will, there's a way.
I want the giraffe, Daddy.
I think it would be really good casting. I will say that I hear the people that are like commenting on his height and stuff. I'm like, don't think about that. Movie
Look,
making
yeah,
is
that
movie
doesn't
making.
matter
Like
at all.
Tom Cruise.
Tom
people
Cruise
were
is
saying
4
that
foot
about
2.
Michael B. Jordan too. They're like, if only he was a little taller. I'm like, that's what you guys are picking out.
But
like,
the
And
thing
also,
is,
if you watch Iron Man, like, not to switch over to Marvel, but straight up, when he's walking next to Pepper Potts, because Gwyneth Paltrow is so much taller than Robert Downey Jr., he's in, like, Spice Girl platforms.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of funny.
So, I mean, you watch the behind the scenes, and that's why he walks slower.
It's just a big
You can-
change
it's
from
movie
two
making, you
very.
can fix it.
You had two very comic book accurate visually castings, right?
Yeah.
Henry Cavill looks like he's drawn out of a freaking comic book page, and Ben Affleck
Yeah, he does.
was a hulking Batman. So they're saying, all right, we're not going like spot on, like with that kind of image with this situation. I mean, obviously he's a hero on like one of the most watched shows
But
recently.
they
It would be good
shoot
casting.
it to make it look like he's
and he has
huge.
not broken
That's-
out in a film yet. I mean, he's been in a couple of films, but he has not broken
Yeah.
out yet.
5'8" doesn't matter. Tom Cruise is 4'2" and 60, and he's still doing action movies. So, yeah, it's magical. You can make whatever you want to make happen. Moving on.
He isn't that short.
Couple quotes from Ray Fisher about Cyborg. He got asked at a comic convention this past week if there's any news that he has about a Cyborg film. He said, I don't know. I can't comment on that. They don't tell me anything until the very last minute. And he said, you're going to be looking at a $200 million project just to make it. So it's one of those things you have to take into consideration. It's a numbers game for some people at the end of the day. So, yeah, I mean, friend of the show, Ray Fisher, by the way.
Yeah, only
him.
Justice League member to have been on the show. It is sad to say, but I mean, I don't see a world in which a Cyborg movie is a priority, especially now that we know they're using that character in Doom Patrol as like a central character, I think. So
And again, looking at the monetary aspect of it, if you have a $300 million CGI suit right out the gate, it's like
that was one of
okay.
the worst things about the movie. Like in the trailers early on, that Cyborg looked so bad. It was so hard for people to get on board because of how awful some of that motion capture and like in the suit or whatever
didn't
looked.
bother
So-
me.
Really?
It really didn't. And honestly, for me,
You like
if we're
Spider-Man,
gonna
too.
go, yeah, I do.
Amazing
I do.
Spider-Man, too.
If we're gonna go with these, not that Cyborg's a secondary character, but of the Justice League, he is. And if we're going to go with all of these movies that like are breaking off in different ways, and why not give us a Cyborg movie?
Because of the cost. The reason they're doing the
No,
secondaries is because they're
I don't mean
cheaper.
why not like answer the question. I mean like let's do it. Like
Oh.
I want that. I want to see it. So if we're talking about like the movies we just want when we're dream movie, like oh yeah, let's just do a Gotham City Sirens film, or let's just do this. Well, let's just do a Cyborg movie. If you're just taking a poll, like,
well, yeah, I think their move right now, and this is their strategy, is to make the best movie that they believe in at that time, and not attaching themselves to the elaborate spider web that they tried to do, and they're not going to try to do because somebody else does that. And you know what? They do that thing really good too. They're focusing on making the best story when it's ready for production, and hopefully, that's all we're gonna eventually get. I don't see a Cyborg movie happening anytime soon.
Don't forget, all it takes is one hit movie, and all of a sudden things start to feel a little bit better. So if Aquaman crushes it, Shazam follows up strong. Hey,
I think it takes more than one at this point. Unfortunately, I think we need a couple. Wonder Woman didn't do it for us. We need 2 or 3 in a row for momentum.
I would say. And we've said this about every movie. How much pressure is on this one? How much pressure is a lot on Aquaman? Because he's a holdout of the old Justice League from the Zack Snyder era, the era that they've been edging away from. If Aquaman isn't a crazy hit, they'll walk away. Just because, people point out Man of Steel did make money, but it wasn't a crazy hit. And so they thought by doubling down on the Batman, they'd eventually get there. So a lot does hinge on Aquaman, but you could see if Aquaman doesn't do crazy numbers, then that's another thing that they can phase away from.
So they're looking at Aquaman to see if Justice League holds water.
Oh,
that was good. I really like that one.
If I could quickly jump in, guys. Jeff Grant from the booth. I'm a very casual DC fan. I've only pretty much seen Justice League, but I will say, as someone who's seen Justice League, I think Cyborg would make a very interesting movie. Like, as someone who's not a huge fan of the comics but wants to see a well-told story, sort of in the same way that I think Black Panther was able to capture the interest of a mass audience because of the narrative and the themes, I would think Cyborg would make the most interesting movie out of the 5 in the Justice League.
It's super interesting in like a Friday Night Lights kind of way almost. Like if we didn't have a Justice League movie ever, and we pulled the Marvel and we had a Batman movie and maybe a Man of Steel 2, and we had Wonder Woman come out, and then we had a Flash movie, and then we had a Cyborg movie, and then we built up to Justice League. I think people might have liked Cyborg even more than any of the other ones because his story is so fascinating. So I'll be bummed if we never get to see that, but I feel as if we're not going to.
I don't think we're going to for a long time.
Scott Patterson says he absolutely loves Ray Fisher as Cyborg, and he thinks that if they were to do a Cyborg film, which is still in development, he claims, they should budget $170 million with Barry Jenkins directing and scripting. Which one is Barry Jenkins? What did he do? Sky.
Moonlight.
Oh yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, But do you see them investing in that film? I agree with both of you. It could be a great movie, but after they put him out there, anything I think that has the Justice League stank on it, I just don't see them investing in.
Same.
I could be wrong, but it's just like,
you're
right, it's a bunch of executives in there. They're like, why are they going to double down into like a pool that they see as poisoned?
Yes.
Right.
That's
If people
basically
didn't
what it
show
is.
up for Superman and Wonder Woman in a Justice League film,
I know.
it's like they don't know
with
what
Joker,
to do.
with pushing for these smaller budget movies, I mean, it's just, I think
The Joker movie can't fail. At that budget, it literally cannot fail.
And that's, I think, what they're looking at, is they're looking at sure things to kind of recoup some of these expenses, which I think is ultimately Cyborg's suit is what is going to be the nail in the coffin.
I don't even think it's his suit as much as like you're talking about the stank from Justice League. It's that he's not bankable. Ray Fisher is still not even close to being a household name.
No.
Nobody knows who he
And
is.
again, friend of the show, great guy,
I
and
love
a
him.
great actor.
He's DC Movie
Super
News
good
name.
actor.
Very good actor.
Great
Very
guy.
talented.
Before we move on to talking about shuffling in DC, I must ask you to forgive me. I need to leave because I need to go film some things. So I'm gonna bounce, but y'all crush the rest of the show.
Okay.
It was very abrupt.
Oh.
That was,
Okay. Well, it's just Johnny.
meant that
You don't have to roll the
Johnny
credits
was
for Johnny.
Bye guys, love you.
yeah,
Where can
whatever.
everybody find you?
At Jay Quasto, I'm filming a comedy special Sunday, November 11th. So if you're in Orange County, what are you doing? Oh, it's just for me. Okay.
Just for you.
If you're in Orange County on Sunday, November 11th, I'll give you free tickets. Biggest night of my life. I'll tell you more about it plenty. Bye.
Bye.
Ivan Soda saying Cyborg, I don't believe will be a series regular on Doom Patrol. Okay, well, he's definitely in it, right? Like, he's definitely in it. At
He's
least
in
maybe
it,
just in the
But
pilot,
then
maybe not
isn't he
series
going
regular.
from there to Titans to this? Like,
Oh, okay.
I think they're doing a whole back and forth
Are we in TV
situation.
time yet? Is it TV time?
No, I don't think we're in TV time.
I think.
So will the
We're not
Flash
quite yet.
actually begin production in early 2019?
And also, we haven't talked about the shuffling over at Warner Brothers, which is actually
Well, you
kind of a big
did.
deal.
Yeah, you
kinda
kinda
talked
did.
about
A little
that.
bit.
So,
Did you have more to say about it?
Yeah, so just the idea that,
just the fact that Diane was just in there and then was pulled almost immediately means that I think that's kind of reflective of
Diane
how...
Nelson, you're talking about,
Diane Nelson,
president of
former
DC.
president, is now...
Pulled was not how she described it, but...
Not pulled, it seems like that's basically the situation where they're like, look, because they're looking at short-term rather than long-term, which I think is the ultimate issue, is that by looking at short-term gains, and, I mean, Sujihara personally selected that Pam.
So I'm sorry. Can you just kind of encapsulate the whole idea of what it is? Because I think we're losing people right now. Just the idea that DC has shifted to a different.
Lifford, yeah. So basically what has happened is they've kind of shuffled around, whereas Warner Brothers had its DC department as kind of a separate thing that was underneath Warner Brothers. Now it's being pushed with consumer products and with entertainment. Which means the Six Flags and also the sales of actual merchandise in stores. Which means that basically they're going to be probably looking at more shorter term profit things, and it's probably going to affect getting less of the big budget things just because of the way the nature of the actual title itself is switched.
And it's called Warner Brothers Global Brands.
Warner Brothers Global
DC
Brands.
Entertainment
Which
is going to be...
Sujihara, who I do trust very much at the helm, did personally select Lifford, so that is somewhat optimistic, but just the title itself makes me feel like that's pretty indicative of where the focus is lying over at Warner Brothers. And with the AT&T acquisition of all of this, it's basically being pushed to feed more of a corporate perspective.
And just be super clear so you guys know exactly, because I know we kind of just said it, but recapping, like she just said, it's supposed to be Pam Lifford's new division. She's going to be the president of Warner Brothers Global Brands, which is going to be referred to as WBGBE.
This is definitely some sexy talk for the fans, I can tell.
Yeah,
It is very sexy talk.
Yeah, definitely that stuff that people care about when they go to see the movies.
Finally,
Pam Lifford.
So The Flash, they're saying, will actually begin production, or will it? In 2019. So that was, I guess,
we
next
talked about
on
this
the
a few
docket,
weeks ago, yeah.
Right? Because right now, nothing else is in production that we know of past Wonder Woman, as far as in active production. But we had suspicion that it was Birds of Prey and The Flash that were chomping at the bit.
I just don't understand putting The Flash into production when we don't have a Superman or a Batman. It just seems so
Well, I guess that's the source of this rumor right now. So again, no announcement has been made one way or the other. But then you also wonder, does the House of Cards keep tumbling? Does that mean that Green Lantern Corps is not really coming up? Like that whole thing is kind of just out the window.
Because Green Lantern Corps has not been related, except for that one brief Easter egg we got. It's not like we had a Hal Jordan and we had a Jon Stewart and they have made cameos and appearances and they've got stank on them.
People haven't been chomping at the bit.
Okay, but this is, according to a THR report, Ezra Miller is still set to reprise his role as Barry Allen, aka The Flash, in a solo movie, and that filming will begin in early 2019.
Yeah, and that might be accurate. It just kind of concerns me.
I mean, all of the actors have basically been saying that yes, they're on board, and that's why they've had all of their projects kind of tailored and had Warner Brothers kind of looking at, which we've been reporting. So I mean,
which Iris, the girl who's playing Iris West, was talking about.
Kiersey Clemons,
yes. Kiersey Clemons. So it's like if Kiersey Clemons too, and all of these other actors and all of these people who are part of it are saying yes, it is definitely on the docket, then I feel like it probably is.
Tara said, Roxy, why do we need them for the Flash? It's not that we need Superman and Batman for the Flash. I don't even think they would make appearances in the Flash. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that when we have a foundation of the worlds of DC, to not have a Superman or a Batman in that universe, unless you're just going to recast and keep telling those stories, which I don't think they're going to do, it just feels like continuing to launch that world is a really strange play.
Archie is kind of agreeing with you. He says Justice League stink with Flash, as I said. So it's that same, are you going to keep... The thing, okay, I don't believe Flash is happening until I hear it's happening. Because I just don't... I don't know if they're making that move. Everybody says it, but until it goes into production, I knew Wonder Woman was going into production. We had Shazam kind of just snuck up. The Joker movie, somebody else just said, I think Cal Phone 49 was stop the Joker movie. I disagree with that. Yeah. This is very, let him have this experiment. Why stop that movie?
I think that Flash could potentially happen because, again, budget issues. It's one that wouldn't be budgetarily that expensive, and considering that the TV show is successful.
You don't think the Flash will be budgetary? Like, you see it being less than $150 million?
I see it probably being about 150. I see it being at right at the cusp versus like a 300 million though.
Sure.
I see it being, I mean, that is going to be one of the higher end ones, but if you're looking at one that you want to keep one of those main characters, which I feel like at this point they do want some figurehead to go behind, and you have a successful TV show, and while people may not necessarily be latching onto a specific actor, they do like that character, and ultimately you can sell action figures.
Yeah.
I know Sky Patterson. I totally know about the direction of the Flash film, and I do believe it's happening. I'm still not 100% certain, though, that Ezra Miller is going to be the guy. Like, Listen,
I feel you.
I know it's possible, but I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, it's the House of Cards effect. If we lose Cavill, I mean, and Affleck's gone,
let's get into our favorite segment because we gotta get through this.
Right.
We gotta get
through this.
It's time for Roxy Striar's TV.
That's me, bitches. Some sensuality.
Yep.
Also, Mikey, Christmas time. DC movie news. It's time to talk.
Wait for it.
Oh, so there's Elena.
Boom.
Oh, look at that. Got yourself a tag. That was kind of like when the old episodes of Batman would air, and then like you'd know that Batgirl would be in the episode because you'd see her cycle.
Oh, it's like
if it's an Elena episode. Yeah.
Adam, throwing to you for this one because I know that you have DC Universe, and it went live as kind of like a little sneak attack situation.
So, some of you may remember I was a little concerned. I'm like, I paid for this thing, but like, how do I know where and when to get it? So I got an email yesterday saying that it was live, and I flipped through it a little bit on my phone, and I was able to see some of the series, some of the movies. It wasn't interfacing really well on my phone, so I think I need to like download it on PlayStation or something. I'm curious if anybody has downloaded the app on something other than a phone, because it was horrible to use. But I'm really excited to go right into those Doom Patrol comics for the series. There is like, they have specials like Triumph of the Super Friends or Challenge of the Super Friends that had like the original Batman and Robin from the 60s, plus these other characters. Like, there was some rare stuff in there.
So what was happening on your phone, though?
The Superboy series, I just couldn't flip around to stuff. Yeah, it just was not a smooth interface. And I was trying to like open up and like read a comic and stuff. It was just the phone, but I don't think it's meant for the phone. It's meant to be on like a TV or a bigger screen.
Yeah.
And they may still be working out the kinks.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
Yeah, it just came out of the beta, and there's no original content on there, but there's all 4 Superman films on there, and a lot of other stuff too. So I'm excited. But it doesn't have like the USA Swamp Thing show. It doesn't have like everything, but who knows? I'm sure a lot of stuff will be added.
The very first thing that he typed in was Swamp Thing.
Well,
Swamp Thing. What's available? Swamp Thing.
Oh, we're going to talk about Swamp Thing soon.
Yeah.
But not quite. First, we're going to talk about Titans because we got a photo in their costumes. What are you guys thinking about Titans? I know I've heard some mixed reviews.
As much as I love the pictures of Robin, all those pictures that made me so excited about Robin, this makes me a little less excited just because it's such a weird... We're lining up, taking a picture.
Everybody,
out of
quick,
context.
pick a different hair color.
Yeah, but I mean, I recognized them as the Titans. That's Beast Boy over there, I believe. That's Starfire.
Yeah.
They're exhausted after a long day of production, and they're like, "Okay, we'll take a photo." Fine.
Yeah.
It's
just like very teenage
very
angsty.
CW. Yeah. They're like, make something that looks like it'd be your cover photo, but like you're mad at your parents.
Raoul 5 got it on his Roku.
Yeah.
And it's better on the computer, says Daniel Drew. So everybody's checking it out.
That's really good. Okay, Swamp Thing. Adam, you want to talk Swamp Thing? Because we found our man.
So Derek Mears has been cast as Swamp Thing. I don't know. He's been on some other stuff.
Friday the
13th.
He's in Friday the 13th. Yeah, and I know him from a couple different shows. I actually think he's been in some DC shows, which I'll look up right now. But what do you think, as the biggest Swamp Thing fan I know?
This is the big thing that we know that I didn't know, and maybe other people did. The fact that it's going to be man in suit.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's interesting. I wonder if it's going to be prosthetic and man in suit and some CG or whatever, but we're not going to get a completely digital Swamp Thing, which I think is a good thing.
The Flash, that he was Dwarf Star on The Flash. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, cool. So he's a big guy in a suit, which I'm always a huge fan of, like Kevin Peter Hall.
Reed is a lot younger than him and a lot smaller, so it's gonna, like, next to him physically, he's gonna look like
he's gonna be a monster.
Be awesome.
He is the swamp. He's not even a man. He's a swamp. He's a plant that thinks he's a man. You know, like that's the thing. That's the crazy thing about Swamp Thing. It's like And this, okay, so also it's going to be hard R.
That R rating. I was a little surprised by this. I'm excited by it, but
So you know that means swamp boobies, guys.
more than some sensuality.
Listen to the green.
More than some sensuality with those swamp boobies.
Well, listen,
Swamp boobies.
this is very exciting. The creative team we have behind it, the director, James Wan, what's his face, Underworld, Len Wiseman. The fact that I believe they said it's separate from the other continuities, and so it's not going to be tied into Titans or Berlanti or anything like that, and that it's going to have some real horror kind of themes.
It's
like
just
this
his
is going to
own
be their
jam.
horror show. Like,
Yeah.
this is,
And
I
that's
gotta
the thing
say,
about a plant-based hero is that he always grows on you.
oh my God, you knew she was there with that.
Unless it's Ivy, and then she
you-
just grows older
and
and
you keep
older.
going back to the mustache too, which I think is impressive. Like even
It
though it
falls
keeps
off,
defeating
but
you,
then
you
you
keep
try
going back to
yeah.
And
it.
it fell off your cup too, and it's
I
just
know.
like,
I was like,
yeah.
all right.
So I'm
Well,
excited
see,
about
that's
that.
that's symbolic. Is the mustache fell off the Superman? Cover.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are into this, hashtag swamp boobies. And
Hashtag swamp boobies.
hashtag
Oh, God.
at DC Movie News at Swamp Boobies.
Yeah, do
Not
it.
into
Why don't you
that.
guys do that? That won't get us in trouble at
Yeah,
all.
that's fine.
Let's talk about Doom Patrol a little bit because we got a picture of a Robot Man on the set.
Yeah.
Looking cool, I thought.
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like junkyard
Yeah.
looking, which I dig.
Very Tin Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Wizard
it's
of
very
Ozzy,
Tin
yeah.
Man.
if I
and
only had a
I'm
heart.
liking this practical stuff.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm very interested to see what this Doom Patrol thing happens.
Is he
It's
the
a
heart
big
one? Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's the heart.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's bringing the heart to Doom Patrol.
And so this was the actor. We saw him out of costume too with his.
Yeah.
So he will be bringing the heart. I understand he's a funny character. So I gotta read those.
So we're all
comics.
in and excited on this.
I'm all about it.
Good. The biggest news that we got today in terms of TV time is that we've been talking about this for weeks. Who's going to be our Lois Lane? Who's going to be our Lois Lane? Since we heard about that happening in the crossover and CW. And finally, they cast somebody today, and it was somebody that I don't know at all. Her name is Elizabeth Tulich, and she comes from Grimm, which is one of the few shows that I don't watch. People seem to be very excited about this, though, which got me excited. She looks just like Lois Lane.
I've seen a few episodes of Grimm. She's really good.
Good.
So I think this is really good casting that I would not have thought of at all.
Cool. Okay. Additionally, Cassandra Gina Mel has joined the crossover event in the role of Nora Freeze, so that's pretty cool too.
So we're gonna get Nora Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments on this casting, Adam? Do you know her at all, or do you care about this in any way, shape, or form?
I do not know her at all, but she looks like a really great classic Lois Lane.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, this is like, you can see from Terry Hatcher to this. I see that, that same kind of streamline from Kidder to Hatcher.
And the good news is, if we don't like her, she'll be
What
gone
was her last
quick.
name?
Her last name is Tulich.
Okay.
Tulich. Do you know the hard CH?
Tulak.
Soft CH.
I don't really know how to say it.
Yeah,
Tulloch?
it's
Tulloch.
Godot all over again, man. This is going to take us 2 years to figure out how to say her name.
Oh, no. So that's pretty much what we have for TV time. Should I be Johnny right here? Adam, put yourself over.
Okay,
Got
guys.
really old in here.
Adam, put yourself over,
I'll put myself over, guys. Come say hi to me at Adam Gertler on Instagram or Twitter. Okay, that's a new thing. We all get our own. If you're around tomorrow on the Lifetime channel, I believe at 4 a.m, my infomercial for the Ninja
wow.
Foodie debuts.
That's an amazing plug.
And so I guess that's the first one, but you'll probably see it. And it's a cool food item, and you should get one, and you can cook a lot of cool stuff in it. Ninja Foodie.
Cool, guys. I'm Roxy Striar. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar. Over on Collider Live, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. Also on Screen Junkies on Fridays. That's 11 a.m. And over here all the time. You can find me at AfterBuzz and all the places.
I'm Elena Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan and on Instagram at that Elena Jordan girl.
And, of course, Jay Quasto, too, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jay Quasto, definitely follow Johnny and be sure to tune into his special November. I'm very excited. I'm going to go.
Go to it.
You want to go with
try to
me?
do a group?
Do we mention Kalinowski?
At Mike Kalinowski.
And Mike Kalinowski. Also, I always forget to mention any of the other things that I do
what
here
do you
too.
do?
But you
What
can.
do you do?
We're starting up American Horror Stories back, so you can check that out
cool.
on AfterBuzz.
Have you seen the first episode yet?
Yeah,
I
it's
hear it's
dope.
wild. I haven't
good?
watched it.
It's dope.
I gotta watch it.
And also, I have a show here called What's Poppin' Up, where we go to different pop-ups that I never talk about. So watch that too.
That's dope. We're at DC Movies SK. And what was it? What was our hashtag?
Oh, hashtag swamp boobies.
Hashtag swamp boobies. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network. We would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.